Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Wednesday, November 14th, 2018 at 12:25 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. God bless us, everyone. I have just returned from actually some fairly successful errands. Um, I may not have mentioned, well, I know I didn't mention. I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. Uh, I fell asleep while reading. Gosh, it's like I'm a teenager all over again. Oh, sometimes in my head, I've never really stopped being one. As anybody who knows me will tell you, and sometime not all happily tell you that that at that. Without the impulsive, I was never really impulsive as a teenager. I'm far more impulsive now as an adult. Well, see, I've got the wherewithal to do stupid things now I didn't when I was growing up. Anyway, so I fell asleep reading. Okay, big deal. Well, except what happens is when I fall asleep reading, what I do is in a very, when I get in that one of those really deep sleeps, I take my glasses off, and do I set them on the side stand? No. Sometimes Joe tosses them on the floor. Sometimes Joe tosses them at the foot of the bed. Sometimes Joe tosses them down, between the bed and the wall. Arguably, that's the safest spot for them, because what I tend to do when I wake up, before I realize that my glasses are not in their usual spot there on top of the NRSV Bible where I park them every time I'm done reading, whether I'm reading the Bible or not. Turns out this time I was reading Dermot McCullough's Thomas Cromwell book. I sometimes find them, and actually, I very often find them with my feet. And it's one of those things like to make sure that they are my glasses. I generally step on them twice. This is not good for glasses frames. Although these, not these frames. The ones that are in the shop. The ones that are identical to these. I'd be wearing them, except that the lenses have stayed too dark after me being outside. So, obviously, it's like, one corner was just shot, and the frames were bent, the shafts were bent down, and the thing in the front that holds the shafts on was sort of like. So I took it down to All American Optical Repair down on Bethel Road. A fine outfit. I have been down there many times. These guys have resurrected this particular set of frames, not this one, but the mate to the one that I just showed you many times. Actually, they've resurrected the one that have the dark lenses in too. That was after I rolled a chair over that one. Not only recently, actually, just a few months back. I'm sure I told you about that. So, I actually got down there early. I had planned, I don't know why I left so early. I guess I had it in the back of my mind I was going to go over to Giant Eagle first, but I thought, nah, let's just get down there. And so I sat out and spent 20 minutes in the parking lot trying to figure out how to set the time on my radio. I was able to change the hour. I couldn't figure out how to get the minutes to change. I did ascertain, though, that the minutes are 29 minutes slower than the actual time. I think that actually increases slightly over time. It's kind of like the precession of the Earth, you know, and how the days slow down or the days increase in length. You know, it's like only faster. This happens faster than that. So the guy flips the open sign in the door, and I go in and I show him these things. He says, we can't do anything about it. We can't do anything with it. He says, if we do, it's going to cost you an awful lot of money. I said, well, how much? It's going to be way over $100. I said, well, you know, they don't make these anymore, and I really like them. And plus, you know, when they're actually sort of fixed and I'm not stepping on them or rolling chairs over them, they last a hell of a long time. You know, we're going on Great Creek drunks. You know, rolling, sort of falling up a hill with them in my pocket. Memorial Day, 1998. An epic Great Creek drunk. It proved definitively that you can drown in 6 inches of water. Well, I didn't drown, but I mean, you can see how people can do that. I digress. I confuse the issue. Well, anyway, so he agreed to take them and look at them and see what he could do and give me, I'll give you a call. Fine, great. So if you can't resurrect them, I'll come down and collect the lenses. So I thought, okay, he's gonna, sometime tomorrow morning he might call me, or really late this afternoon he'll call me and say it's going to be like $160 or something. Because he has to do these laser welds and things. And he's got a thing in there. He can make his own screws, these little tiny ass screws. If he's got to make screws, I mean, that can get pricey. This guy's good. So I got, to jump ahead a bit. Notice I didn't use that horrible phrase to make a long story short. I loathe that phrase. And quite frankly, I think people who use that phrase are a bit suspect sometimes. What? A lack of thoroughness? Thoroughness bothers you? So I get home and the phone rings. Actually, the phone had rung when I was in Giant Eagle, but that's irrelevant. So it was this guy from American Optical Repair. He says, I fixed him. I mean, he sounded amazed. He says, I fixed him. He says it's only going to be $49. I said, great. I said I'll be down tomorrow and pick him up, or down Friday and pick him up if tomorrow's going to be as bad as they say it's going to be. Those boys are going to live to fight another day, as long as I just can keep from stepping on them or rolling chairs over them. The dogs that take my glasses and hide them, and the dogs never hurt my glasses. I'm the biggest threat to my glasses. So, I waited. Well, I figured while I'm down there, I may as well go to one of these Jiffy Lube joints and get an oil change, and a lube. have them do all the little checky things they do, you know. And I did is write down, there's one just right about a mile and a quarter down the road, towards Sawmill Road, there off of Bethel Road, and the north side of Columbus. And I am going to tell you this, that this Jiffy Lube, you walked in there and you thought you were in an absolutely pristine restaurant. I have rarely seen a floor in any sort of public establishment as clean as the floor in this Jiffy Lube was. And I'm not talking about just the waiting room area. You look out into the shop area, that floor is absolutely as clean as the floor in the waiting room. Astonishing. And another thing that was kind of astonishing was there were no visible prison tattoos running up around the face and head. You won't find that in every oil change joint. I mean, the absence of those. That's okay. If they know how to do their job, I don't care. I mean, but there does seem to be a certain demographic association there. Now, I don't know whether they get them in prison or not. Well, so what if they did? They've got a job. Good. So, actually, I was also impressed because the tile in the shop floor and in the waiting room was the exact same tile I had installed in the kitchen and bathrooms, or the kitchen anyway, in the Fenway Roadhouse when Faith and I lived on Fenway Road. Exact same tile. Hey, maybe they got the tile from that house when they ripped out all the tile in the kitchen. But I got a deal on that. Okay, well, I'll tell you, it didn't take long. I mean, I was only there. I was there less than a half hour. Well, of course, the guy, yes, the guy tried to upsell me, but he tried to upsell me intelligently. And, he took no for an answer when you said no. He wasn't a Jim Acosta about it. He wasn't CNN about it. He just took the answer. And one thing he said, it's been 7 years. Well, he said 8 years. Well, I said, well, it's really been 7 years. And I thought, let's see if you're going to start niggling, because he said, depends on when the truck was made. I said, the truck was made in July of 2011. I bought it in October of 2011. Essentially, the truck's just a hair over 7 years old. I said, I fully agree with you. I think that's time that the radiator needs to be flushed out. You need to get new stuff in there. I have no problem with that. And then apparently Dodge has now sort of changed its specs for this engine, and says you have to have either some sort of synthetic blend or full synthetic oil because of the the multi-displacement function on this 5.7 liter, hemisphere head engine. Okay, fine. You got to stick something in there, don't you? It had been a year. I got the oil change December 17th of last year. So it's been almost a year. I'd only driven the thing like 1,300 miles in a year. You know, I'm the little old, I've told you, I'm the little old man that goes to Walmart and church, and that's about it. And then what else do you want to do? Oh, he showed me the oil filter, or the air filter. I said, yeah, that's a new air filter from a year ago. He said, well, it looks pretty clean. I said, that look clean. I only have 1,200 miles on the thing. I said, you're looking at a 1,200-mile air filter. Well, plus the other thing, too, was what has also stopped, and the reason I did get the air filter changed last time around was it had had 2 years of all this construction dust, you know. Well, you know, when it was changed, you know, when I saw it last year before they changed it, it was grotesque. Well, I mean, it had nothing but clouds of dust wafting into that pole barn where I keep the truck for, 2 years. No, nice. I think there was one little strand of 2 pine needles that had worked their way in. I almost said, you guys got to take those pine needles out of there. You're not going to put them back in. Interestingly, the invoice didn't say that they checked the brake fluid, although I know they always do. Hell, they checked the front differential, Presumably they can see the brake fluid with the hood open. I used to be one of these guys that always, I check my oil like every 2 weeks. And, now screw it. Fucker stops running, the fucker stops running. That's basically my, I would never have had that attitude 20 years ago. But I didn't tell him about all the whites coming on. I did tell him, I said, I'm going to need air in those tires. I said, yeah, we noticed that tire thing was on, that tire light was on. Yeah, I said, it's been dinging and banging at me all, for quite a while now. He says, well, stop now. But good. And all the lights stayed off until just before I got home. And so now I've got a Christmas tree instrument panel again. Yay! Truck's fine. It drives fine. So, you go home. Well, I didn't go home immediately. I went to Giant Eagle and bought wine and beer. I bought more of this Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest I was drinking the other day. Here, let me show you, Bob. This is really good stuff, by the way. Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest. I think it's just 6%. Yeah, 6% by volume. Which anymore for a nice American beer is very reasonable. None of this 8.5%, 9.0%. To their credit, the British don't understand why we make beers with that much alcohol content. And they're right. It perplexes the heck out of me, too. So anyway, I was able to get 2 more 12-packs of that for $16 a 12-pack. See, that's kind of my upper limit on beer. I'll gladly pay $8 for a 6-pack, but I will not. I draw the line at $9 a 6-pack. And so many, almost all the ales now. This is not an ale. This is a lager. It's a wheat lager. It's a very good wheat lager. So many of those really good ales are like $9 a six pack. I refuse to pay that. Beer boys, you've got to do a better job lobbying the legislature next time around so you can, of course, they're not going to lower their price because they know they're getting the price, so why would they lower the price? So I bought, basically I bought a case of beer and I bought another case of wine. What passes for a case nowadays? So I got 4 boxes of the Almaden Cabernet Sauvignon. They actually had 4 boxes. They've been very stingy about that down there lately. And then I bought 3.5-liter bottles of Barefoot Wines Merlot, and I would have bought the Pinot, except the Pinot had gone up in price by $2 a bottle. So screw that. So I bought the Merlot at $11 a bottle rather than $13 a bottle for the Pinot. And checking out so much fun sometimes down there because, there used to be a guy that was just, he'd look for me in line and he would motion me out and he'd check me out sort of all by myself. And he took good care of me, but I think he's been promoted up. He ought to be. He was good. And then there's another guy. Well, this wasn't this guy. But what is that insect hanging on my little lantern for? Oh, well, I'll have to deal with that. This woman, she's kind of a very neat woman. She's obviously recently from either Germany or some place in the Eastern Bloc, Eastern Europe. She speaks relatively good English, but she's got a very heavy accent. Okay, that's fine. I'm usually pretty good with accents. I have a hard time with folks from Glasgow. I have an occasional hard time with folks from the Manchester area, but not very often. But other than that, I've got so most of the Northern English accents I can handle without even having to think about them. Some of the Midlands accents still I have to think a little bit about, but but this woman's got a very, very heavy, for lack of a better, I'll call it a German accent, but I'm sure it's not. I'm sure she's farther east. And she said, well, I thought she was asking me my age. Like, how old are you? What she was saying is, how are you? So then we talked about that for a while. And that's okay because I had pulled up behind a woman that was, making a big deal about some price on one of her items. And I didn't really pay attention to the fact that, she was becalmed. I was becalmed because a fellow customer was having some sort of problem, some sort of conflict was brewing. Meanwhile, in the next aisle, an older guy got into a shouting match with one of the cashiers. So I thought, it's all go here at Giant Eagle today. Well, so then then the woman in front of me says, I don't want to hold you up. And she says, check me out, and then you check him out, and I'll come back. And I thought, thank you, that's very nice. And it was. But then I got to miss it. Sounds like I got to miss a good floor show. So then, of course, we did the usual song and dance about, do you have a Giant Eagle card? Oh, see, I got a battery going bad. And guess what? Joe can't get to that damn smoke detector. Yay! So you're going to get to hear that from time to time. So, do you have a Giant Eagle card? And I said, we go through this a lot. I said, you and I have gone through this before. I said, the state of Ohio does not allow people to use store affinity cards to lower the price of alcohol. He says, but in Texas, I said, I know, every state is different. In Ohio, it has been, for a long time now, the case that you cannot use a store affinity card to lower the price of alcohol. So asking me, who is buying only alcohol, if I have a Giant Eagle affinity card, is pointless. It's a waste of your time and mine. He says, I said, yeah, I mean, it's all very different. I said, that's part of the great tapestry of the United States. It's like every state has different alcohol rules. And she says, but we seem to be very popular for people to buy alcohol. I said, yes, because you are in a precinct that is different than the one up the road and across the road. So in your precinct, which is only just a few hundred yards away from either of these, says, you get to sell earlier and a lot more items than they do. So of course people are going to come to your store, particularly on Sunday, to buy stuff. So yeah, I said, you're in the right precinct. I hope I don't have temporal arteritis or something here. I got a vein in my head over here or something. It's not pulsatile. That's a good sign. So, okay. Well, then I got home safely by the grace of God, and I've decided let's just level out this front porch thing that I've been moaning about for a while. So I found two perfect 2x6s that are made of treated lumber. I was able to get that shovel under there and lever that bastard up there and get those things to sort of click right into the right place. So now I can step out onto an absolutely flat surface, at least until whatever is underneath holding it up shifts again. So I actually put some trash down at the end of the driveway here when I got home. Filled up a bag. So it's down there for whoever or whenever they decide to pass by, collect it tomorrow or Friday. I can't recall how they do the Veterans Day, sort of garbage, post-Veterans Day garbage collection, trash collection. It's down there, so it doesn't matter, I guess. I think, obviously I've not told you everything that's been going on, because some of it is, it's deeply personal in a different way than what I usually you all know I talk to you about very personal stuff, but this is deeply personal in a way that I've never really dealt with here before with you guys on YouTube. I don't like to self-edit. I will probably address this issue I hate that word. This just stage of my life, let's put it that way. in the future here. No, not all that far away either, but I still have to really do some more critical thinking about it. So yeah, and then I got the phone call saying it's only going to be $50 to fix these frames. So, phew, that thing went going by your head. It was a bullet you just dodged, boy. So, on that note, I'll say bye-bye, YouTube.